Hi everyone, this is my video on Communication 101 continued, and in this video we're going to go over the thing known as neural networks. So let me give you a brief background, right? In the last video we covered what neural tracks were. Neural tracks are chains of neurons. So the important thing is that they are linear chains of neurons that connect one region in the brain to another. While these are important, they only go to a certain extent. What does the real processing is the neural network. So let's get into that, right? So let's take a quick example. Let's take the visual system, for example. First, the visual information enters the retina, right? It goes in from your pupil, it reflects on the retina, and your photoreceptors pick it up and they send it back and it goes to the optic chiasm, right? So basically, there's your optic tracts, which go to your optic chiasm, which send it to your thalamus. So the thalamus is we talked about it in the first video, it relays information to different parts of the brain, right? And I think you might have guessed it, it does that through neural tracts. But so then what happens is the thalamus will send it to the primary and the secondary visual cortex to form a 3D representation of what it's doing, right? So it's going to check where it is in space, and how it looks, how it's oriented, all of that stuff. Then it's going to go to the dorsal and the ventral stream. So the dorsal stream processes where it is, how it's coming, the speed of it. So it's basically the space aspect of it. It helps to create that 3D representation. And the ventral stream processes what it's actually doing, right? So this says dorsal here, but it's supposed to be temporal lobe. The temporal lobe contains the hippocampus and it helps to identify what the object is. So as you can see here, I'm sure you've made the connection that each one of these is actually just in its essence a neural network, and sorry, a neural tract, right? So the visual information to the retina is connected by a chain of neurons, which the thalamus relays to the different parts through neural tracts. Then this also goes to the hippocampus, the parietal lobe through neural tract. So but all of these chains put together form a neural network. So a neural network is the basis of processing how something looks. So it's like a combination of neural tracks coming together to actually make sense of an object. So one of the best ways I like to think of this is through AI, right? I'm sure you've heard neural networks before. What they do is they take information and they process it and they pick up small patterns to help make decisions about something else. So that's the underlying definition of a neural network. It's a group of processes that come together to make sense of an object. Whereas neural tracks are just for communication, neural networks put everything together. They're the holistic process to reach an end goal. So as you can see here, let's each individual neural track comes together to help you make a decision about what the visual stimulus is, right? So in that too, let me just exit out of annotation. Okay, so in that, now let's go into, yeah, so neural networks are linear connection of neural tracks. So spinal tracks are basically neural networks that are found in the spinal cord. So as you can see here, basically you have in your brain, I talked about this a little bit in the nerve tracks video, with the globus pallidus, basal ganglia, and everything. So basically, what these spinal tracts are so unique is because they run through your spinal cord to help you move, basically. So what these do is that ascending spinal tracts, they bring sensory information to the brain. Because how your spinal cord is structured is, let me draw a quick diagram here. It's going to be an interesting diagram to say the least, but all right. So basically, you have this, right? Say this is your spine. And from this, you have multiple little nerves coming out, right? Like this. And each one connects. Oops. They do not go through your spinal cord like that. Sorry, that was a horrible drawing. But each nerve corresponds to a body part. Say this one corresponds to your hand. That's demented hand, but it works nonetheless. This one connects to your leg, so on and so forth. This is not actually how they are arranged. They are more ordered, but just to give you the idea, what the ascending tract does, say this is your brain, this little red blob. The ascending tracts, they take information from here and they send it up to your brain, right? And what your brain does is it processes it through your somatosensory cortex. Then, say this is your somatosensory cortex. Let me make it a different color so it's easier to see. Let's make it yellow. Somatosensory cortex. It cross communicates with the adjacent region known as your motor cortex that I'm putting in green. And your motor cortex says, okay, what am I supposed to respond? So say here I'm making your hand, put it like you put your hand in like ice cold water, right? Your brain receives the somatosensory cortex, receives the information that your hand is cold. Your motor cortex is communicating and it's saying, okay, I need to remove it. So through your descending spinal tract, what it'll do is it'll send down the information for you to immediately retract your hand, to take it away. So essentially, spinal tracts are neural networks that occur in the spine, and they help you to make these reflex movements. They help you to coordinate your movements, so on and so forth. So yeah, that's my explanation on the spinal tracts neural networks. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know so that I can clarify any doubts. And I have my email in the description. Thank you so much. Bye.